Emma Turner had always been the kind of employee every company wanted. She arrived early, stayed late, and never complained. For nearly 6 years, she worked at Brierstone Corporation, a well-known marketing firm based in Chicago. She wasn't rich, but her steady paycheck and quiet routine gave her a sense of pride and purpose. Her job wasn't glamorous. She managed reports, organized campaigns, and often stayed behind to fix other people's mistakes. But she loved her work, especially because she believed in the company's values: honesty, teamwork, and integrity. At least, that's what she used to believe. Everything changed the day she accidentally uncovered something she was never supposed to see. It was a rainy Wednesday evening. Most of the office had cleared out hours ago, but Emma was still at her desk, reviewing a client proposal that needed to be sent first thing in the morning. The building was quiet, the only sounds being the soft hum of computers and the ticking of the wall clock. As she walked to the copy room to print a few pages, she noticed a light still on in Mr. Harrison's office, her direct supervisor and one of the company's most trusted executives. That wasn't unusual. He often stayed late too. But what caught her attention wasn't the light. It was the laughter. A woman's laughter. Soft, flirtatious, and strangely familiar. Emma froze for a second. She wasn't the type to eavesdrop, but something about the tone made her curious. Quietly, she peeked through the glass door. What she saw made her heart drop. Mr. Harrison wasn't alone. Sitting on the edge of his desk was Samantha Lewis, the company owner's wife. Everyone in the company knew her, elegant, charming, and often present at corporate events. She was supposed to be married to Richard Lewis, the CEO and founder of Brierstone. And yet, here she was, laughing, her hand brushing against Harrison's shoulder in a way that was far too familiar. Emma stepped back immediately, her pulse racing. She didn't want to see more. She quickly returned to her desk, pretending to work, though her hands trembled slightly as she typed. She tried to shake it off, telling herself it wasn't her business, but part of her conscience screamed that this wasn't just gossip, this was dangerous. Over the next few weeks, things got stranger. Harrison started acting differently. He was overly confident, often snapping at coworkers and ignoring deadlines. Rumors began spreading that he was about to get promoted to vice president. She didn't understand it. Harrison's work had been sloppy, his behavior unprofessional, and yet he was getting rewarded. Then came the breaking point. One morning, Emma received an internal email by mistake. It was addressed to SL, Samantha Lewis. The subject line read, "Weekend plans private." It was sent from Harrison's company email. Her heart pounded as she stared at it. She didn't open the attachment at first, but after a few minutes, curiosity won. The file contained hotel receipts, photos, and even flight bookings under false names, all billed to the company's travel expense account. He wasn't just cheating, he was using corporate money to fund their affair. Emma sat there frozen. Her mind was spinning. Should she tell someone? Should she stay quiet? She knew the company's financial department was strict. Misusing company funds could lead to serious legal issues. But exposing it meant going against her boss, the same boss who signed her paychecks and had the power to end her career. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she walked into the HR department with shaky hands. She didn't name names at first. She simply asked about the process for reporting financial irregularities. The HR manager, a kind woman named Paula, assured her everything would stay confidential, but she could see it in Paula's eyes, the worry, the hesitation. That evening, Harrison called her into his office. "Emma," he said with a tight smile, I heard you had some concerns about company finances. Her stomach dropped. I was just trying to follow procedure. He leaned forward. Don't play games with me. I know exactly what you saw, and I'll give you one chance to forget it. Sir, Forget it, he interrupted sharply, for your own good. There was something chilling in his voice. Not anger, but control. Emma left the office shaken. She realized what she had stepped into, a web of lies and power that stretched all the way to the top. A week later, her worst fear came true. She was called into a meeting with HR and upper management. Paula looked pale and uncomfortable as she read from a pre-written statement. Emma Turner, due to ongoing restructuring and performance concerns, your position at Briarstone Corporation has been terminated effective immediately. Emma stared at her blankly. Performance concerns? I've never missed a deadline. Its decision is final. And just like that, the company she had given 6 years of her life to ended her career because she tried to tell the truth. As she walked out of the building in the rain that day, box in hand, her mind wasn't filled with sadness. It was filled with resolve. She had been loyal, she had been honest, and they destroyed her for it. So she decided, right there on that cold Chicago street, that she would make them regret it. Not through anger, not through chaos, but with the truth.
The next few days felt like a storm had passed through Emily's life, leaving everything broken. Her phone stopped ringing, her co-workers avoided her. It was like she never existed. She packed her desk in silence, placing her photo frame and small cactus into a cardboard box. Nobody looked her in the eye. As she walked out of the building, she felt humiliated. A few people whispered behind her, and she heard one of them say, "She probably deserved it." The words cut deep. Emily didn't fight back. She just kept walking. At home, things were worse. Her landlord gave her an eviction notice because she was late on rent. With no job and no savings, Emily sold a few of her things just to survive. Her best friend, Sarah, tried to help, but Emily didn't want charity. "I'll figure it out," she said quietly, though deep down she didn't believe it. For weeks, Emily sat in her small apartment, replaying everything in her mind. The affair, the lies, the betrayal. She had worked at that company for 8 years. She stayed late, skipped holidays, and always supported her team. And this was how they repaid her. One evening, Sarah came by with dinner and found Emily surrounded by papers. "What are you doing?" she asked. Emily looked up, her eyes tired but sharp. "I'm going through the files I saved before they deleted my access. I think there's something bigger going on." Sarah frowned. "Bigger? You mean the affair?" "No," she whispered. "Money. I remember seeing some irregular payments, things that didn't add up, large transfers to fake accounts. I didn't think much of it then, but now, maybe that's why they fired me." Sarah sat down beside her, shocked. "You think they're stealing money?" "I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out." For the next few nights, Emily barely slept. She went through old emails, backup files, and financial reports she had saved on her personal drive. Slowly, the pieces started to fit together. There were fake suppliers, ghost employees, and secret bank accounts. It was bigger than she imagined. Then she found something that made her blood run cold. An email chain between her boss, Greg, and the owner's wife, Melissa. It wasn't just about the affair. They were moving company funds into offshore accounts using fake business deals to cover it up. Emily's heart pounded. This was evidence. Real, solid evidence. But what could she do with it? If she went to the company, they'd bury her. If she went to Greg, he'd silence her again. Sarah urged her to go to the press, but Emily hesitated. "If I do this, I could be sued. Or worse. But if you don't, they'll keep doing it, and they'll get away with ruining you." That night, Emily sat alone staring at the laptop screen. Her hands trembled as she hovered over the send button. The folder she had compiled was labeled Truth Files. Inside were documents, screenshots, and proof of everything. She took a deep breath and sent it, not to the press, but to a well-known investigative journalist she trusted. As soon as she hit send, she felt something she hadn't felt in months: strength. For the first time, she wasn't the victim. 2 days later, everything exploded. The news broke early in the morning. Major financial scandal rocks prominent tech firm, CEO and senior manager under investigation. Emily's phone buzzed nonstop. People from the office were messaging her, asking if she knew anything. Her former boss, Greg, was arrested. The company's reputation crumbled overnight. Emily watched the news with tears in her eyes. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. As she looked out her window, the city skyline glowing in the distance, she whispered, "You took everything from me. Now you've lost it all." For the first time in a long time, she smiled, not out of pride, but out of peace. The morning after the news broke, Emily woke up to hundreds of messages. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Old co-workers, news reporters, even strangers on social media. At first, she ignored them. She was terrified someone would find out she was the one who exposed everything. But within days, rumors began spreading online. Someone leaked her name. People started calling her the whistleblower. Her heart sank when she saw a headline: "Former employee behind company scandal. Fired worker leaks explosive files." Emily froze. The comments below were a mix of praise and hate. Some called her a hero. Others accused her of revenge. Some even said she faked everything. Her stomach twisted in knots. She hadn't wanted fame. She only wanted justice. That afternoon, Sarah rushed into her apartment waving her phone. "Sarah, the news is everywhere. You're trending." Emily covered her face. "This isn't what I wanted, Sarah. I didn't want people to know it was me." Sarah sighed. "You did the right thing. Don't let them make you doubt that." But Emily couldn't stop worrying. She started getting threatening messages from fake accounts, some calling her a liar, others warning her to keep quiet. Then she noticed a car parked outside her building for 2 nights in a row. It made her nervous. The next day, 2 journalists showed up at her door, asking for interviews. Emily refused. "I just want to move on," she told them, her voice shaky. Later that week, a lawyer from the investigation team reached out. "Ms. Turner, your files helped uncover a massive case of fraud and embezzlement. The authorities want to thank you." She listened quietly as he explained that Greg and Melissa had been arrested. Millions of dollars had been stolen over the years, hidden in offshore accounts. The company's board was collapsing, and the CEO had stepped down. Still, Emily felt no joy. "They ruined so many lives," she whispered. "People lost their jobs because of them." The lawyer nodded. "Yes, but because of your courage, the truth came out." Soon, Emily was invited to speak at a press conference. At first, she refused. She didn't want the spotlight. But Sarah encouraged her. "Emily, tell your side before others twist it. People need to hear your truth." So, with trembling hands and a pounding heart, Emily stood in front of cameras for the first time. Her voice was soft but steady. "I didn't do this for revenge," she said. "I did it because I couldn't watch good people suffer while others used their power to cheat and lie. I lost my job, my reputation, and my peace, but I couldn't lose my conscience." The room was silent. Some reporters wiped their eyes. Her story went viral within hours. People began calling her brave, honest, and a voice for justice. Still, the attention wasn't easy. Some nights Emily cried, overwhelmed by everything. But each time she looked in the mirror, she reminded herself,
I did what was right." Weeks later, Emily was offered a new job at a nonprofit organization that fought for workplace ethics. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt meaningful. She accepted without hesitation. Her first day there, the director shook her hand. "We need people like you, Emily. People who stand up even when it costs them everything." For the first time in months, she smiled from her heart. That night, she walked home under the soft glow of streetlights, feeling calm. The chaos was behind her. The fear was gone. She had found her purpose again. Yet deep down, Emily knew the story wasn't over. The company's lawyers were still trying to find ways to silence her, and one name kept reappearing in the files. Someone powerful, someone who hadn't been caught yet. Emily stopped walking and looked up at the dark sky. She whispered, "If the truth isn't finished, then neither am I." Weeks turned into months, and Emily's life slowly began to find balance again. She was working full-time at the nonprofit, helping people who had suffered workplace abuse or unfair dismissal. Every story she heard reminded her of her own struggle, the betrayal, the fear, and the loneliness. But there was one thing that kept nagging at her, one unanswered question. Who was really behind it all? Yes, Greg and Melissa had been arrested, but during the investigation, Emily had seen fragments of financial records that hinted at something deeper. There were transfers from accounts Greg had no access to, offshore bank codes linked to someone higher up, someone untouchable. One evening, while organizing old documents on her laptop, Emily opened a folder she hadn't checked in months, called Audit Confidential. Inside was a file she had downloaded just before getting fired, one she'd forgotten about. Her heart raced as she clicked it open. Inside were transaction lists, hundreds of them, labeled with initials JT. Her eyes widened. JT wasn't Greg's or Melissa's initials. It belonged to James Thornton, the CEO of the entire company. Emily froze. James Thornton had been the face of success, respected, admired, powerful. During her time at the firm, he was always calm, distant, and impossible to read. But this file showed that he was secretly siphoning company money into offshore accounts, and Greg and Melissa were just helping him cover it up. She leaned back in shock. "It was him all along," she whispered. Sarah, who was visiting her that night, saw her pale face. "Emily, what's wrong?" Emily turned the laptop toward her. "This is bigger than we thought. James used them both. Greg, Melissa, all just pawns. He's the one who started it." Sarah gasped. "You have to take this to the authorities." Emily nodded slowly, but her hands trembled. "They're already rebuilding the company under new management. If I go public with this, everything could explode again. They'll come after me, Sarah." Her friend reached over, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You didn't go through all that pain to stop halfway. If you don't speak up, no one will." That night, Emily couldn't sleep. The memories flooded back, being fired, humiliated, and left with nothing. She remembered how James had smiled at her the day she was escorted out, saying, "It's just business, Emily, nothing personal." Those words burned inside her. The next morning, Emily called the federal investigator who had handled her previous case. "I have something new, something about James Thornton." The investigator met her in a quiet cafe that afternoon. Emily handed over the USB drive. "These files show he was transferring money offshore using front accounts under Greg's name. I think he set Greg up." The investigator frowned, scrolling through the data. "These are serious allegations, Emily. Do you understand what you're risking?" She nodded. "Yes, but I also understand what happens when people like him get away with everything." Within days, a new secret investigation began. She wasn't supposed to know, but whispers reached her through contacts. James was under review. Then one evening, as she walked home from work, she noticed a black car following her slowly. Her heart skipped. She turned down another street. The car turned too. Panic rose inside her. She ducked into a grocery store and hid between aisles, pretending to browse. When she peeked out the window, the car was gone, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. That night, she called Sarah again. "I'm being watched." Sarah's voice trembled. "Emily, maybe you should stay somewhere else for a few days." Emily did. She stayed at Sarah's apartment, keeping her phone on silent, but she couldn't stop thinking about the files and the possibility that James already knew she had handed them over. 3 days later, breaking news hit every TV channel. Arrested on fraud and obstruction charges. Emily stood frozen in front of the screen. The anchor's voice continued. Evidence suggests he orchestrated the embezzlement scheme and used subordinates to conceal the transfers. Authorities confirm whistleblower assistance was crucial in the case. Sarah screamed, "Emily, you did it again!" But Emily just stood there, tears filling her eyes. It wasn't pride she felt, it was release, relief. The weight she had carried for months finally lifted. That night, she went for a walk alone. The city lights glowed against the dark sky. She thought about the people who had stood by her, the ones who had betrayed her, and the person she had become. She wasn't the scared employee who lost her job anymore. She was stronger, wiser, and even though she never sought revenge, justice had found its way. As she crossed the bridge, the cool wind brushed her face. Emily smiled faintly and whispered, "It's over." But in the back of her mind, a question still lingered. How many more people like me are still afraid to speak up? She didn't know it yet, but her story was about to spark a movement that would change countless lives.
Months had passed since James Thornton's arrest, but the echoes of the scandal were still felt across the city. News outlets continued to run stories about corporate corruption and whistleblower bravery. The company, once a symbol of success, was now remembered as an empire built on lies. For Emily, life had changed in quiet, beautiful ways. She had moved to a smaller, calmer neighborhood on the edge of town. Her mornings started with coffee and sunlight instead of fear and anxiety. Her new job at the nonprofit had grown into something bigger. She was now leading a division that protected employees from corporate abuse. But what she didn't expect was how many people began reaching out to her. Every day, her email filled with messages from strangers. Some were from employees scared to speak out against wrongdoing in their workplaces. Others were simple thank you notes, people saying her courage had inspired them to stand up too. One message stood out. It came from a young woman named Lydia. "I watched your interview months ago. I was too afraid to speak up about my manager stealing funds from our charity. But after hearing your story, I finally reported it. They're investigating now. You gave me the courage I didn't have." Emily read the message 3 times. Tears rolled down her cheeks. That one line, "You gave me the courage I didn't have," felt like the closure she had been searching for all along. She realized that her story wasn't just about revenge or justice anymore. It had become something greater, a ripple effect of truth. One morning, her director called her into the office. "Emily," he said, smiling, "we've been invited to a national ethics conference in Washington. They want you to speak as a guest panelist about whistleblowing, resilience, and moral courage." Emily froze. "Me? Speak on stage?" He nodded. "Yes, you, Emily. You lived it. Your story can reach people in ways reports and laws can't." At first, Emily was nervous. The idea of standing in front of hundreds of people terrified her. But she also knew silence had cost her too much in the past. She wouldn't let fear win again. When the day came, she stood behind the podium, looking out at a sea of faces. Cameras, lights, reporters. It was overwhelming. She took a deep breath and began. I used to think doing the right thing would destroy me, and in some ways it did. I lost my job, my reputation, my peace. But what I gained was something I'll never trade again: my self-respect. The room fell completely silent. I was just an employee. No power, no influence. But truth doesn't need power. It just needs someone brave enough to speak it. When she finished, the audience rose in a standing ovation. People clapped, cheered, some even cried. Emily smiled through her tears. She had finally found her voice, not as a victim, but as a survivor. After the event, a journalist approached her. Emily, if you could go back in time, would you still expose them, knowing everything you went through? Emily paused, thinking. Then she said, yes, because silence protects the guilty, not the innocent. And I'd rather lose everything than live with that silence again. That night, as she sat on her balcony watching the city lights flicker below, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not just relief, but true peace. Her phone buzzed. It was Sarah. You were amazing today, her friend said. I saw the broadcast. The whole world knows your story now. Emily smiled softly. It's not my story anymore, Sarah. It belongs to everyone who's ever been afraid to speak up. The wind blew gently, carrying away the last traces of her old life, the fear, the shame, the anger. In its place was strength, calm, and a sense of purpose. She whispered into the night, "It's finally over." And for the first time in years, Emily truly believed it.